Hello everyone, this is Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I am here with my wife, the lovely Mrs. Thomas. This show, people enjoyed. So we do patron appreciation shows. We're doing them on Sundays at 1 p.m. Those shows are only available to patrons. I mean, after it runs, it's only available to patrons. And Mrs. Thomas was nice enough to come on the show in order to help me with the patron appreciation. People enjoyed her being on the show, and so I figured let's bring her back so other people can appreciate her other than patrons. And so we're going to do a weekly, or at the very least try to do a weekly, tentatively do a weekly show on Thursdays. That's kind of a, I guess, a hot topics type of show. We pick each of us pick the topics that we want to talk about, and we just kind of go from there. There may be more topics that she's interested in or I'm interested in, but we go from there. So.
I feel like it's going to be a softer segment than your typical shows would be. Since I'm less into politics. Like yours tend to be a little bit more aggressive, but because I'm kind of like not as
aggressive.
Political. Yeah, like
threatening to beat people up.
Not aggressive, but you know, not physically aggressive, but. Oh. I feel like this will be a softer show, I guess. A softer segment.
A feminine energy to a extraordinarily masculine, powerful, Herculean energy. Is that what you're saying?
No, but that's fine.
That's fine. I just swear that's what you said.
Not at all, but that's okay.
All right, so yeah, but I think this is a good idea. I love this idea. So I'm going to run with it. Let's see how it goes. It may do well. It may tank. We may do it once and be like, all right, this sucks. Let's not do it again. But we're going to run with it. So, anything else you want to say?
I don't think so. Just let us know how you like it. I will be looking at my notes, and I follow the chat
right
on my phone too. So if I'm looking down, that's why.
Look up there.
Okay, I look up there too, but I have my notes on my phone.
Okay.
So we're gonna get started.
All right. So for the first one, let's talk about super delegates. Yeah, let's talk about super delegates. Yeah, let's talk about super delegates. She doesn't know what this one is. We didn't have much prep time before the show. Each one had our topics, but I got to be honest, I kind of like that a little bit better. Not having prep time, just kind of going with it.
More organic. Yeah. See, that's what I mean when I say a softer segment.
More natural.
Because yours are like
mine's are natural,
researched and structured,
and
and
natural.
This is just gonna see where it goes, kind of.
Fair
segment.
enough. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, super delegates. Now, Tom Perez went through, I guess you could say, this Herculean task of trying to degrade superdelegates. Now, we were calling for the complete abolition, just destruction of superdelegates. But they didn't do that. What Tom Perez did was essentially chain them until the second round. Now, once you get to the second round, the superdelegates can choose whoever they want. Now, in theory, this sounds like, okay, that is a movement on that, but what happens if you get to the second round? And then people say, well, nobody gets to the second round. You never get to the second round. But think about it. This year, you're going to have like 20 Democrats who are trying to worm their way to the presidency because they think Donald Trump is rather weak as a president. And with that many, as it starts to break down, is it possible that you end up with 3 contestants at the end? Yes, it is absolutely possible that you end up with 3. Is it possible you end up with 4? Yes, it is. It's very possible, depending on the vote share and the way the votes break down. I guess my point is this. Keeping superdelegates now allows for that rule to come back with a vengeance, because those superdelegates are going to be in the same position that they were last time, where the press is going to ask, if you get to the second round, who are you going to vote for? And they're going to have that tally and say, this person is a potential winner, because if it gets to the second round, it's going to get to the second round because everybody is in the race. Like, I guess I'm making this, hopefully, making this point that they should have gotten rid of superdelegates. Altogether. And people like championing this idea of, oh yes, they moved the bar. Okay, well, now in this particular case, they moved the bar, but you're still stuck with the same, barbed wire on this. So, I was always cynical of this particular thing because I was like, but you didn't get rid of superdelegates. The entire rule set remains true if you get to the second round. It's like, nobody ever gets to the second round. You are this year. Mark my words. Unless Sanders like blows the doors off of the competition in this case, and it's hard to know how that's going to look because there are going to be so many people. You know, you might get like 10% of the vote and win a state. We'll see. But all I'm saying is that rule is a snake in the grass waiting to bite you on your ass. So I understand all of them. Look, yeah, we got them to move on the superdelegates. It's like, well, but look, not enough. Like, why do you have Republicans don't have it at all? Why do you have it? I mean, it's entirely there in order to prevent the grassroots candidate from getting into office. What's his name? When they said it was electability at one point. And then it's like, but Sanders was far more electable than Clinton. Oh, no, it's working together. Their ability to work together. It's nonsense. So, yeah, so is that. That's my issue with the superdelegates thing. People need to be aware that that's now in play with this many candidates on the field.
How many candidates do we have now?
What's like 8?
We should do a show just on
the number of candidates. Oh, jeez.
Candidates.
Yeah, I don't know all of them. What do I? Do I know all of them? Yeah, it's like 8. It's a lot of them. That's a lot. Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Kristen Gillibrand. What is her name? Orbacher or whatever her name is. Amy Orbacher.
Is that first lady?
Yeah, there's a Hispanic gentleman, Louise something.
Yeah, Elizabeth.
Yeah. Oh, Elizabeth Warren, she's in it. One, Mr. Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard. That's like 10 names. That's a ton, and that may not be all of them. Joe Biden still may get into the race. Like, it's like all of these people are waiting in the wings to do their thing. So we'll see. I mean, it's hard to know how this one is going to break down. If the amount of dollars that Sanders got is any indication of support, he has a lot of.
So speaking of that, the amount of dollars that Sanders got.
Yes.
$6 million in 24 hours.
Wow.
After announcing his presidential bid.
That's amazing.
From 225,000 donors.
225,000 donors.
Yes, 600 million.
And understand, when he's in the election season, all those small ticket donors are going to be able to give again and again and again, because they're only giving $5 here, $2 there, $27 here, 20. Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
I follow the Bernie Sanders page, or the People for Bernie Sanders on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's reading the okay, so this is our second topic, right? Talking about Bernie Sanders and
yeah,
the reaction of mainstream media to Bernie Sanders announcing his presidential run. You
want me to show Jenks video?
Not yet. Let's get into the start.
Okay, cool.
You interrupted me now. Jeez. I'm not good at this, so I lose my train of thought easily.
Do you, boo?
So.
Do you? Don't hit me, dog.
Oh my goodness, babe.
Don't hit me no more.
6,200,000. Oh, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I've seen,
thought, right?
It is, especially when you keep interrupting.
My bad.
So one of the things that I've seen when I look at the comments, because I want to see what people say, not just what the media says, but like what do the people say. And like I'm reading the comments and people are like, I couldn't afford to give much, but I gave $3, or I gave my $27 now and I'll pay again on payday.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't afford to give today, but I'm gonna pay again. You know, so and so. It's like these are just regular people that are, you know, busting their ass to make sure they give to Bernie, and that's one of the things that they talk about is, you know, his grassroots campaign and it just being made up of like the average person.
Well, you know, when our revolution was started, I thought he's using our revolution as a sort of political weapon of sorts. You know, I want to get policy accomplished. How do I get policy accomplished? I need this kind of movement in order to push this stuff along. Otherwise, I'm all by myself. Nothing's going to take place. That's the way I looked at our revolution. So, I mean, there was apparently a logic to it, and him running for president, there's a good chance.
Well, I think it's funny because one of the comparisons, people are telling me to project my voice because they can't hear me very well. So I'm going to try to talk louder. I can talk
wait. Just try now.
Pretty loudly.
Try now. Wait. Try now. The mic was in.
I'm talking. I'm trying. I won't know until I get some feedback, but let me know if that's better. But I can project pretty well, so I'll speak a little louder now that I know that you guys aren't hearing me well. But do you want to play the clip?
Sure. So smearing Bernie Sanders, this is Aisha's topic, smearing Bernie Sanders. She said they're smearing and they're attacking Bernie Sanders. Now, I haven't dwelled into the attacks on Bernie Sanders because I knew those attacks were going to come. It's like a samurai. He's just there. He just understands that there's danger all around him, but he accepts the fact that there's danger all around him. He just walks like a man. That type of stuff. That's the way I've looked at this. But I know they're going to hit him. I don't necessarily need to see all the hits.
I feel salty. Still from... Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means?
That sounds nasty.
It's not nasty. I still feel wronged from 2016. So the first response from mainstream media to hit him is like...
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, like, are we going to go through the same shit that we went through last time? And it... So when Kamala Harris raised, what, $1.5 million in her first 24 hours, so the mainstream media was all over it about how she raised all this money and everything else and how it was so important, and it showed, you know, how many people were backing her. Bernie raises $6 million, and it's not about the money anymore. It's, you know, this doesn't really represent, you know, it's kind of like annoying to see, and it's like, come on, man, like, I want people to be feeling the burn like I'm feeling the burn, I guess.
I love when somebody, I don't remember, I think it was like on MSNBC, says something like, you know, we need somebody else, we need new blood. Bernie Sanders too old, we need somebody like Joe Biden. And it's like, come on. Come on, Joe Biden. Yeah, I accepted that they were going to hit him.
See, maybe I wasn't really prepared. But maybe I wasn't really prepared. And it's like, you know, people who are waiting, who have been waiting, are like, okay, we're excited because Bernie's here. You know, like, anyone that's like in my little circle is like, yes, Bernie Sanders. So to see people just like hit him in the knees, it's like, what more do you want from a candidate? I mean, like, I know he's not everybody's favorite candidate, but it hurts my feelings.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
It hurts my feelings.
It's like, fuck their feelings. That's all right. It's a war. It's a conflict, and we accept that they're gonna hit him, and they're gonna hit him hard and continuously, because keep in mind, he upsets the apple cart. Like, this is not, you know, just some random Obama type politician that's gonna make sure status quo remains intact.
Yeah, he's definitely intending on rocking the boat.
Yeah, he's talking about a broad spectrum of using the mob to influence political will, because he realizes he can't do it by himself. He keeps saying it.
Isn't that his campaign slogan? Not me, us.
Yes.
We getting the bumper sticker soon.
That's kind of shameless. This is Cenk Uygur. So we were looking for something that gets across the attacks that were on Sanders. Apparently, Washington Post has put out a bunch of hit pieces on Bernie Sanders already. I imagine all of the attacks on Amazon that Sanders did, Jeff Bezos doesn't necessarily like that. And Washington Post being, bought by Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
That may have a little bit of something to do with the fact that they're taking shots at
Yeah, I think they said 4 hit pieces from Washington Post in the 24 hours. First 24 hours after he announces his bid.
That's a Cenk. That's good.
For tomorrow's show, but I couldn't, because it's amazing. They did it again. The Washington Post, 4 different articles attacking Bernie Sanders in 24 hours. This is like a replay of 2016. One more absurd than the other. My favorite might be the first one. Jennifer Rubin, who is a conservative writer for the Washington Post, says, here's a great headline: Why Sanders' money haul doesn't mean very much. Get a load of this. She is arguing this piece. I mean, the person with the most money, does that make them a legitimate candidate? No, I think we're over-focusing on who has more money. Are you kidding me? After decades of saying, hey, the only way you can be a legitimate candidate is if you have more money. Whoever has the most money is the most legitimate candidate. Hey, if you're not rich, if you don't have a lot of rich supporters, you're not a legitimate candidate. Hey, listen, I had to figure out a way to figure out a metric for who's the most legitimate candidate. Money's the only metric. Money's the only metric. Now that Bernie Sanders is leading in that race, and it's from small donors and not giant corporate donors, all of a sudden, Washington Post has a story with, oh, money doesn't matter. It's almost unbelievable. They're saying it with a straight face. So when it was giant bribes from multinational corporations and incredibly wealthy people.
All right. I just wanted to get across the, they're attacking Bernie Sanders. And they're hitting him. They're smearing him just right off the bat. And Sanders, if you remember in the CBS thing, he was like, he says multinational corporations are going to spend millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to distort the message that I'm putting forth. And he says, I need you guys to be honest, and tell the truth to the American people and all this other stuff. Good luck. Good luck, sir. Those are millionaires. Like the other guy said, they're millionaires being paid by billionaires to essentially tell the public, disseminate information to look everywhere else as opposed to the system itself, because that system keeps them intact. So, yeah. So, they're hitting him, but just be calm. Be like a monk.
That hurts my feelings.
Floating above it all.
And not only that, but like mainstream media, but like everybody, I gotta be honest. So, everybody's big thing with Bernie Sanders is his age.
Yeah, there's Bernie's too old. I mean, God, that's so
But
ageist.
My dad said, you remember when we talked to my dad about it?
Really?
And he said
he
liked Bernie's platform.
He's an ageist.
But he was like, man, that guy old. Like, he was like, I can't burn for. Like, he literally did not vote for Sanders. I mean, one of the main reasons because of his age. And it's like, Trump's what, 72, 73?
Yeah, Trump
something like that.
Has some age on himself. So, I mean, I guess, look, I take this as you vote for the person depending on how you think that person is. He's a fit, vigorous man.
I saw him playing basketball.
Yeah.
On one of the clips the other day.
I mean, it's one thing if he was like kind of in a wheelchair and he's like, oh God, I'm going to run a political revolution. That's not what's taking place. He's running around the country. He is vigorous. He's vigorous. So this attack on him, they just don't want Sanders in that position, and they'll use anything that they can in order to have these attacks. Be calm and be still.
I just feel like we're going to run into the same shit that we ran into in 2016 because...
We will. That's the door you have to walk through.
The media is going to tear him down.
They're going to try to.
And...
They're going to try. I mean, but this is slightly different, though. Sanders has a platform online that is getting millions of viewers. Like, if he went on television and did some kind of debate or something, he may not get as many viewers as he gets online. Like, it's an amazing thing that he's been able to do. But I guarantee you this, when CNN has Sanders on, they're going to break records from the number of people that are going to be watching him. I write it down. I can almost guarantee it.
He's just so, dare I say, enjoyable to watch.
Yes.
I mean, like, when
because
you're
he's
comparing...
saying stuff that you like. It's like a ministry.
Well, not only that, but, like,
Secular
some of the people who are kind of wish-washy are new to politics, who aren't really stable or,
Oh, he's a fixed thing.
Right. He's a fixed thing. He's been saying the same shit for 40 years. And so when he gets in front of the camera, there is no falter. There is no waver. Like, he is solid in everything that he says. I mean, it's really... And like you were telling me the other day, we were having a conversation and you were saying how... he does a thing where he gets exacerbated.
Yeah.
When people like try to.
It's like he gets gruff.
Yeah, he's like this is stupid. That's kind of the way that he talks. Like he gets exacerbated. I don't know. I like to see him speak. I'm burning. I'm feeling the burn. So it frustrates me a little bit.
There, in this campaign though, he's not hitting his opponents. Like, I don't know how much of the stuff you've been watching, like the press clippings and the interviews. But in every interview that I've seen of him, he's been very careful not to hit his opponents. Like, when he says, I know all of these people, these are really good and nice people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
The other Democrats were named? He wasn't afraid to touch Trump's ass when he came out after that State of the Union.
Oh, yeah, he'll hit Trump. But I don't know if they've taken loyalty pledges. I don't know if they've made this kind of pledge not to hit each other while they're in the race. I don't know how long this is going to last. I mean, you have 10 Democrats and none of them are going to hit each other when they're in the race. And he's kind of make this really point of, who's been saying it forever. All of these other Johnny-come-latelys. And I'm not saying that they don't mean what they say, but who means it? Like, that's kind of the line of attack that he's making. Yeah, and not to mention this argument of you need a political revolution. It's not enough just to have a candidate.
Yeah.
That's a compelling argument. Because he's right. I want somebody arousing the fury of the masses, getting out there, getting thunderous speeches, and getting people riled up. Like, oh, fucking rob a post office. I don't know. I need to do something. Like, I want people getting to the point where they get fired up, looking at their world and realizing that they can change their world. It's malleable. It takes a little bit of work because it's ossified and for the last 40 years, but it is changeable. You can do it. That's hopeful. Moment in the sun. So the other one that I want to talk about, or that you want to talk about, both of us want to talk about, is...
Speaking of annoying the masses.
Annoying the masses? Oh,
Isn't that what you said?
Annoying the masses?
So, everybody knows that Jussie Smollett has been in the news lately for his alleged...
attack?
Hate... Is it a hate crime attack?
Hate
attack? I don't know what you call it.
He came out, if you remember, comes out and he says Trump supporters attack him, beat him up because he was gay. They were calling him slurs and N-word and all this
They poured stuff on him. They put a rope around his neck and they were wearing MAGA hats.
Make America Great hats, and they were saying like we're Trump supporters. It was real dramatic in the way that he's, it's like, Donald Trump is the greatest thing on the planet, and I'm gonna choke the shit out of you. That type of stuff. And people started to call BS on the story almost immediately. It's like, man, that sounds a little over dramatic. I don't know if people, was out there doing that. Not to mention he's in the middle of Chicago where 80% of the people voted for Obama. Not to mention the two people who they picked up were Africans, right? They were African Americans.
I think so. Yeah.
So it's like, did they find the random African Americans that just so happened were Make America Great voters? Like, the story's a little dicey. I didn't cover the story because I didn't know what the hell was going on with the story, and it's a good thing I didn't cover the story because you had some people like Kamala Harris and Cory Booker who come out just like, oh, there needs to be justice, and Donald Trump is making people racist. And then
shit, man.
Yeah.
That's a long way to go.
It is a long way to go.
Okay, so story unfolds. They look at surveillance. They interview a bunch of people. They look at the evidence, and they find out that he's full of shit, right? He came forward and turned himself in, and the story is that he paid two guys $3,500 to stage an attack. The wounds that he had when he went to the hospital that night were self-inflicted.
Oh, wow. Now, see, here's the thing. When you get to this thing of Trump voters, God, man, it's like even when you're vindicated to some degree, you're still not necessarily racist, but what is that? Homophobic in a weird way. The story that was going around was that he got in a fight with a gay lover, and he was using us to cover the fact that he got in a fight with a gay lover. I shit you not.
I didn't see that.
I saw that. I heard people talking about that, and it's like, what? I was like, what? Why do you think he got in a fight with a gay lover? Like, it's because in their minds, he's gay, they're passionate with each other, and these two men are so passionate with each other, fighting with one another. I don't know. Okay. I'm just saying, I heard that story, and I was like, that's fucked up. I don't think that's true, but that's fucked up. And you find out that story is way off. $3,500. And he beat himself up. That's commitment.
And I think the outrage, because they were talking about, like, what is he, like the superintendent? But when they came out and spoke to the news, and they were talking about how upset they were over what had happened. Like, the resources that they put into this investigation. It wasn't like a murder, so I guess it wasn't that intense. Yeah. But, you took away resources from shit that was legitimate crime. Not to mention, now when people... I mean, if it was a hate crime, if this had really happened, this would have been a big deal.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
I know.
Which is pissing people off. And so now it's like
they're going to prosecute him.
A fucking hate crime.
Yeah, they're going to prosecute him.
And so now is it going to make people more leery when people come forward and say that they were attacked or that they're a victim of a hate crime?
They're good.
Like, the community is pissed about this shit. I think
the people who
justifiably.
The people who are in the position that, let's say, against gay rights and whatnot, when an attack happened, they're going to immediately point to this and say, see, that other guy faked it. This may also be faked. Like, that's the problem with stuff like this. Like, it's like
a bad precedent.
Yeah, it's extremely bad precedent. And it's like, you're getting yourself beat up to promote your career. What the fuck?
What? Like, are you?
It's like, what the hell?
Is the type of behavior that I would expect from somebody like really down on their fucking luck.
He could,
you know what I mean?
Really
like,
well. I mean, what?
Your bills are not getting paid. He was upset over his fucking salary, the amount of money that he makes, and it's like, come on, man. Like, where did he even get the idea to come up with this? Like, That's disgusting.
Well, I heard somebody talking about it. It was what a guy named Button. He said you let actors craft shit like this, and this is what they come up with. Like this got to be elaborate. You know, it's one thing to say somebody beat me up in Chicago, and they were being racist when they beat me up, but they had a rope around my neck.
Even if you just said that you got beat up, it probably wouldn't have been as bad.
Yeah, but you
had to make it a fucking hate.
Yeah,
they put a rope around your neck, dude. That's
and you explicitly said they were Trump voters, like
they
Trump
poured stuff on you.
Make America great. Like that is so elaborate. It's like it's like the burglar goes into the house and leaves his calling card right behind him as he leaves out the house, and it's like this seems a little too precise. Yeah, I didn't cover the story. I'm glad I didn't cover the story.
Well, I think this is more like entertainment, and I know that you typically do like politics and the news and stuff like that.
Well,
so
the story occurred to me.
Been on the channel.
Well, the story occurred to me because ultimately it's this thing of is Trump creating this hatred that the Democratic Party says he's creating, or you know, it's like he emboldens this type of stuff. So when this comes out, their first thought is, "Oh, see, we told you." Donald Trump is emboldening hatred. They even beat up this black gay man who can sing really well. And you find out, not so much.
Can he sing?
Oh, God, he can sing his ass off.
I didn't watch Empire. Now I'm really not watching Empire.
Yeah, he can sing his ass off.
Is he going to be back on the show?
He might be fucking prison.
Can he do it? Do we know? Now the question is now, is he really going to get jail time? Is he really going to, you think he's really going to get jail time?
I mean,
it's a felony offense now.
This is fucked up. Like that's a fail. That's an outright fail to me. Think about what would happen if somebody did that to you. Like somebody accused you of something. Not accused you of something. Accused you of something. Because from the standpoint of Trump supporters, this argument is always made Trump supporters are racist, homophobic, sexist, xenophobic, etc., etc., etc. And so this fits into this kind of narrative of it. And then you find out, no, this was... I know what it is. It puts you in the mind of, do you remember that woman who said, black man took my kids and killed my kids? Mm-hmm. And it's like...
Which one? No.
Yeah, it was a white woman who said they stole her kids.
I've seen that in the news a few times.
And it's like she's going with this idea that society thinks a particular way about African Americans, and so this will be okay. This idea will be easily accepted in this society because African Americans are just this way, and African Americans are pissed. It's like you're using us as your fall guy for some shit like this. I think Trump voters feel the same in this way. Where it's like, you're using us for your fall guy. Not all Trump voters are racist. Not all Trump voters are sexist. Not all Trump voters are, homophobic. You're using us as your fall guy. You're essentially saying you got beat up and you're trying to make a political statement while also trying to...
for money. For political gain. Yeah. I mean, like, for, professional gain. That's disgusting. Like, there are legitimately people who are being victimized. And
that it makes it bad for everyone else who's been victimized. Yeah, I agree. It's the reason why I don't call people racist when I don't think they're racist. It's like it diminishes the word. When I use a word, I want the word to have a certain degree of force because I don't use it. It's kind of that way with us, where it's like it diminishes everyone else who comes forward because there's always that. Well, you remember that other guy faked it.
Yeah.
Is this is it being faked this time around? Yeah. All right. So. The last one was what?
That was it. We just had 3 quick little hot news topics to talk about. This is our trial run.
It seems inadequate.
So we're going to keep it short. We're actually legitimately going to keep it short.
It seems inadequate.
Somebody said Jussie's going to blame the Russians. Putin's behind it.
Oh man.
Garden Gnome said people are buying into these narratives because media is harping on divisions constantly.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. I do agree with that. But it's also this thing of I guess the media thing. I mean, you can shape your reality. What world do you want to live in? Fox News world, CNN world, MSNBC world? Your choice. And if you get onto the web, oh man, you have all sorts of shit. You can live in Alex Jones's world. You have all these different worlds that you can live in. The parties themselves have used identity for political gain, and to some degree that creates divisions within the society itself. The society has to get to the point where it realizes that their interests are best served together. Like, there could be a guy in Kentucky who hates my fucking guts just because of my skin tone, and yet politically will be best interest in line with one another. It's like, you can hate me, just don't fuck me politically.
Yeah.
But that's that's not what takes place. All right. And for one last...
John Hill said read the Streamlabs. Yes, John Hill, we always read the Streamlabs. We're going to check now and see.
Let's see.
Someone said he's really going to dislike his pay now.
Y'all are Bernie stands, and don't see that Bernie has a black voter issue. The ADOS movement, which you won't cover, is pushing for reparations, which will Sanders is against. Unless he changes his stance, he will lose the South again and the nomination. I don't know if I entirely agree with that. I mean,
we do love Bernie.
Well, yeah, I do love Bernie, so there's that. As for the ADOS, I did look at the ADOS. I gotta be honest, I don't fully remember, but I did look it up. The reparations issue, I don't think whites forgot their history, honestly. I've said that more than once, and I can defend that. Ultimately, this thing of reparations, you can't even get an acknowledgement of, and I don't want to be pessimistic on this, because I agree with the premise. I mean, of course I agree with the premise. But it's like, how do you get half of the country that you can't even raise taxes on the rich? Like you're even trying to just fight for just that little ounce because they believe that you're trying to take their nickel. You're trying to take their cup of coffee. Many of the Democrats are pushing for it. I think that's complicated. That's all. It's like a full-on lefty agenda, and that's added to the mix. And the fact of the matter is, the other lefty agenda itself will serve the interests of making people's lives materially better across the board, not necessarily individuated with one or the other. I agree with the premise of the reparations thing. How do you do it?
Seems kind of difficult to pull off.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about Medicare for all, the I agree with the premise. But let me look up ADOS again. I gotta be honest, I don't fully remember what it was, even though I did look at it. Kills for a living. I don't think Bernie has a black voter problem. I don't agree with that at all.
I'm black. He got my vote. Everybody I know that's black.
Yeah, everyone I know that's black has voted for Sanders. So,
but we don't know everybody.
Speak for yourself. Here we go again. Anyone born white is born a racist. Jamarl, not everyone from the Confederacy capital like you. I didn't say that. I don't think I said that everyone white is born a racist. I don't think that at all. I think people are born to some degree blank slates on that stuff.
See, Pookie says he's a descendant of
American
slave.
descendants of slave, and I'm a black burner. Yeah. American descendants of slaves. I see. I'm a descendant of a slave. Yeah, my grandmother remembers. It's like her grandmother being a slaver. So I think the best way to do is to try another war on poverty in general, rather than target a specific group. So right there, that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's making this argument about divisions. It's like Fox News. The moment that you say reparations, Fox News is going to say, "Oh my God, they're trying to get those dark as your money. Look at what the Democratic Party is doing. They're trying to get those dark as your money." And it's going to be like, they're trying to get those dark as your money. Have you ever, I've spoken to Republicans, and they're susceptible to this. Now, to be fair, whites have far more wealth than blacks. I think the average white was like 100,000, and blacks was like 5 or something like that. It was some insane amount, like where African Americans, where you're looking at the relative wealth between the two. So I can see a certain group, holding their cash and holding their wallets, but whites have a jaded interest of point of view of like what welfare looks like, but some of that stuff is just based on the culture itself. Like if you say how many people own poverty, there are more whites on welfare than blacks.
Yeah.
But when you talk to them, they would know that, many of which would just assume they're more blacks. I don't know. I think that's a weird psychological thing to try to weave your way through, and I suspect that you can get more done by working from a united front as opposed to parsing it out like that. Even though you probably can still do things within the context of the united front. It's not that I'm against the reparations thing. It's that I'm cynical of what I think is accomplishable with this culture and this political climate. Just saying.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Just saying. Just saying. But no, I don't have this thought that whites are born anything.
Racist, yeah.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, again, I'm not responsible for how I got here. At least not that I'm aware of, not on a conscious level.
What did you do?
Yeah, I know, right? What did you do? In the same way that somebody else who's born white or gay or Hispanic or anything else is responsible for theirs. I don't think you're born anyway. I think it's a matter of culture, how you're raised and what is stuffed into you in a society. Just saying.
Good.
Just saying. I don't see it there.
We've got another super chat?
Here.
Or another Streamlabs. I thought I saw a super chat. Yeah.
My point is, it's a main issue in the black community that Sanders is against. It would lose the black vote for him, and Fox News is already using the issue against the Democratic Party, who it's calling ADO's Russian bots. Jesus fucking Christ.
Russian bots, really?
I gotta be honest. I don't think he loses the black community because of this. I don't know how much of the black community even knows what this is. No offense. Don't misunderstand me. But I had never heard of this until you said something about this. So I don't necessarily know if they are as prolifically dominant to the point of being able to pull the black vote one way or the other. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel you on this, but I don't think he's going to do that, and I don't even know if it's wise for him to do that. I just don't. I mean, it's like you've taken on this entire political thing that you're trying to accomplish, and it's like, hey, we also need you to do reparations, and you're opening yourself to attacks on these issues because at the end of the day, you still need to get through a political party. I mean, political process. If Sanders gets the Democratic nomination, he's going to get the black vote just by definition of getting the Democratic nomination. So I don't agree with that at all. I feel you. I agree with you that all things being equal, if we lived in somewhat of an ideal world where people weren't pricks and used those things against you in order for political gamesmanship, I would agree with you entirely. But in this case, I mean, come on. Let's fucking lose the presidency. Let me win it. We are far worse off with a loss as opposed to a win. The reparation things make sense to me, but it's not just blacks that are hurting within the country. I mean, it needs to be very clear to understand that. And you're going to create animosity among people who are not black, who are also hurting in the country. Like, this is not a path forward for this kind of sustainable country itself. I agree that if I am looking down at things and I say, yes, there's a debt that needs to be paid in order to balance the scales. And even then, it's hard to balance the scales, but there's a debt that needs to be paid. Agreed. However, we live in a political climate where that has to be won. The argument has to be won. And I'm saying that the people who that argument is going to be won against is not going to agree with you regardless of the situation. I'm just saying, you may get a bunch of lefties who say, yes, we need to get back reparations, but you're going to have a large share of whites who are going to say, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Joanna made a good point. She said I don't want reparations tackled politically until general social justice, like Medicare for all, free college, equality and pay, housing rights, etc. So basically, they're...
It's going to create animosity.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about chaos. Like, imagine what is going to be said in a situation of saying we're going to give... However reparations is distributed, maybe cash grants. It's probably not going to be cash grants. Maybe you can go free college. Think of affirmative action. Affirmative action was supposed to be reparations. Like, and people, look at what they did with that. They attacked that relentlessly. Oh, you're letting these black people get ahead of the line. Oh, this guy is probably a doctor who got in because of something. I mean,
I just need to see how that's going to really work in real life.
Yeah.
How they're going to pull that off.
Because I think they will be attacked relentlessly. You think they're hitting Bernie Sanders now? When Ocasio-Cortez did her thing, her bill, I think something came out with and not people who, even if they don't work, and Fox News jumps on it and eats her alive. Oh, she's trying to give away people's money. She just goes at her relentlessly. And I suspect strongly that that's going to be the tack that will be taken to attack something like that. Yeah, I agree with it policy-wise. I agree with it even from the standpoint of trying to right or wrong. But politically, I don't know how you pull that off.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
I don't know how you do it. Call me an asshole, but I think I'm right. Sanders is not going to support it because Sanders doesn't want to lose.
Yeah, there's a lot of agreement with that.
Okay.
Social justice is more important.
Good.
What?
Good. There's a lot of agreement. I like when people kiss me on the neck. Go.
What's not your ego? That's what Joanna said, or Joanna said.
Don't try to take my.
Sorry.
Don't try to take my shit. Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's it for today.
Nothing at all. Everything is off your chest.
Yeah, none of this was really on my chest, but yeah.
Are you gonna be back here to do this Wednesday? I guess we could try to make this more glossy somehow. I'm not quite sure how. Maybe have a different intro or something for ours.
Yeah, maybe. You didn't like my name for the titles. You didn't like my suggestion for the title of the show. So we had to do like a common ground.
Wait a minute. Don't say I didn't warn you. Other candidates in the Democratic Party are already pandering. You need to look up what's bubbling at the ground level. That's fair. I could be, like I said, I could be talking on my ass on this. I could be talking on my ass on anything. I don't accept that what I'm saying is the word of God, even though I think I'm often right.
Krillin 876 says, "Here's my reparations. Keep up the good work."
Oh, thanks, Krillin. That's my reparations. Like a self-hating white man giving away his money to the Negro on camera. No, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I try. I enjoy doing it. I didn't like, when I started this channel, I would come home, I would work all day, and I would spend like 4 hours or 5 hours doing the news up to like 2-3 in the morning. Get up and do it over and over and over and over and over again. And at the time, I was shocked that I had like 5 subscribers, let alone 10, 20, and 100. And it's like one thing after the next. And at this point, we're almost at 20,000. Yeah, it's just shocking. That's all. And I appreciate my wife coming in to help out with some of the shows. It gives another perspective on the show. Sometimes her perspective differs from my own. I tend to be a little bit more...
Typically, it's the same. Like I said before, you're a little bit more aggressive.
Masculine.
But there are some things that we differ on. There's been a couple of things where I'm just like, yeah, I don't agree with that.
Radically masculine. I have muscles under the shirt. Let's see. What did you see this?
Yes.
That is terrifying.
You talked about that before.
Yeah.
Right before this video.
And this one. Brexit.
All right. I asked if anybody had any topics that they wanted us to talk about before we head out.
What they say?
I'm not really getting anything, so peace. No.
Well, if they don't have anything, that's fine. This show is only gonna go maybe like 30 minutes an hour.
So maybe for next week. So if we're gonna try to do this weekly, we'll spiff it up a little bit. You guys give us some suggestions if you have thoughts about what you think should be covered while I'm here. If anyone cares. I think the thought is just to give, like he said, a softer, different perspective. For someone who's not as aggressively political.
Yes, that's true.
I think that's kind of the goal for me coming on a regular basis. Plus, we had a good time on Patron Appreciation. People seem to like it when I hang out.
That was a lot of fun, actually. That has to be one of my favorite shows. Like, because it was it went extremely well. One topic after the next. I think like 5 or 6 topics, and just kind of going through one after the next, talking about and discussing the topics. It's a weekly review of what's taking place, and we've been doing that twice at this point, and we're going to do it going forward.
Patron Appreciation.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'll be here Sundays and Thursdays,
yeah.
Or Sundays definitely for Patron Appreciation, and then one other day.
And If you want, I
Throughout the
may grant her own show on this channel, but that's if she acts right.
No, I don't have anything political to talk about that regularly.
You gotta act right.
Well, that's not going to happen. Don't look forward to that.
Did you see the Tucker Carlson one?
I did. I watched the Tucker Carlson one.
All right. So one last thing, the labor thing. So, you know,
Somebody said talk about the Jewish lobby.
what about the Jewish lobby?
I don't know. That's all I got.
There's a breakaway from Labor. I think it was like 7 MPs come out and say we're leaving Labor Party because Jeremy Corbyn is a raging racist, or anti-Semite, and so it was that nonsensical. It was that nonsense, and apparently 3 additional Tories have also split from their party to join those other 7 rebels.
7 rebel Labor MPs.
Yeah, they're trying to come up with a new party, and they apparently disagree with what's taking place in regards to Brexit. So that's them pulling themselves out of the process. That's fascinating. Like what is taking place in Britain is completely and entirely fascinating.
Somebody said Tulsi's on The View. Someone said talk about Bernie's co-chair pickups. We gotta look into that.
Co-chair. Okay.
I don't know what poop chain is. We gotta look up the Jewish lobby.
Well, I know what a Jewish lobby is. I just don't know the context. I mean, you know, Elian. That's the one they flipped out on. What is this? Who is this? Who's repulsive movie?
Taj Marie says perhaps we can cover the 70,000 strikers in Mexico.
Strikers in Mexico.
Yeah, strike happening in Mexico. So we'll put that down.
Okay. Oh, and 20,000. Do you guys have any suggestions on what to do for the 20,000 show? I gotta be honest, I don't know. I mean, if I had godlike abilities and powers,
Oof.
I know that would be. Well, actually, that wouldn't be all that much fun. And the irony of this is, if I had godlike abilities and powers, what I would probably do is disconnect myself from the knowing of the fact that I have godlike abilities and powers in order to experience a particular thing. Because understand why. It gets boring. You as a consciousness have things that you want to do, and you have things that are fun and enjoyable and so forth. And even from the standpoint of a god, it would have to exist in some space, right? God couldn't be just nothingness. It had to be something.
Okay,
even if it's everything.
What were we talking about? If you had godlike powers,
I guess I'm making the point that
what would you do?
You could disconnect yourself from the fact that you have godlike powers in order to experience something that is unknown to you. Because being God, everything that you do will already be known to you. There's no way, like, I can't necessarily predict all your actions because we are separate. But from the standpoint of God, God is everything. He knows everything. It would have to be boring as all hell to exist that way.
This isn't what you were about to say.
What do you mean?
You were about to talk about something relevant to our actual discussion.
By definition, was what I was about to say.
Okay.
It was something else. Oh, the dog's crying. You've been a bad dog, Mom. I am going to...
We'll look into the topics. But yeah, they're saying Mexico is not getting a lot of attention, so you need to do better on that.
I didn't know there was a strike in Mexico.
Yeah, you need to get together.
It's supposed to be my communication secretary.
That's not my role at all. The little dog is crying outside.
Yeah, pity. He needs some motherly attention.
Alright, well, that's it for tonight.
Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. We'll always support through PayPal or Patreon. Maybe not always. I mean, it's not an infinite thing, but you can indefinitely support through PayPal and Patreon. Thanks so.
Good night.
Good night.